Tasmai Sri Tasmai Sri Gurave Namaha Sri Chaitanya Manostam Stapitam Jena Swayam Rupa Katam Dadati Swapadantikam Namao Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prestaya Sri Mate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Namane Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pracharine Nirbhishesha Shunyavadi Astadhyayashokarine Jai Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasari Gaurabhaktavinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare Krishna Krishna Hare Hare Rama Rama Hare Hare. So Lord Shiva is certainly a very enigmatic personality, which means he's complicated. To understand him and all of his various manifestations is no easy task. And I'm sure many of you are from India, many of you grew up in India, many of you grew up with grandparents who read Ramayana, or may have come from Shaivite tradition, or may have come from Vaishnava tradition, etc. So you may have heard many different things, many different types of stories, and different perspectives from Lord Shiva being God, the Supreme, or Lord Shiva being the personification of Brahman, and many different perspectives that are there coming from the various traditions. Why is this? Well, first of all, a lot of the stories and understanding come from Puranas. Many Puranas are there, 18 primary Puranas. 6 are Sattvic, 6 are Rajasic, and 6 are Tamasic. So that means when you study in Bhagavad Gita, what is Sattva Gun, what is Rajagun, what is Tamagun, you realize that these are the components, the constituents of the material energy, Prakriti. And it has a psychological, a psychophysical effect on the living entity who is in this material world. We are affected by the modes of material nature. In our conditioned state, that is our predominating, pushing force. And as is described in the Bhagavad Gita, these gunas, sattva gun, raja gun, tamagun, they're pushing and they're interacting, they're exchanging, because sattva gun means basically knowledge, happiness, lucidity, things like that. Rajagun is action. Primarily, it's action. That is the active principle, the creative principle. And tamagun is more indolence, laziness, sleep, etc. And in a conditioned state, we have in order to be active, there's the Rajagun. In order to go to sleep at night, there's Tamagun. Whereas in the position of the pure devotee of the Lord, who is Shuddha Sattva, who is pure in pure goodness and is not influenced, then even their sleep is interaction with Krishna. Even when, so it's not so much in the conditioned soul state, Tamagun, we need that to go to sleep. Rajagun, we need to be in the active state. And Sattvagun is the state of the mind, knowledge, intelligence, clarity of perspective, happiness, all of these things. So this interaction of the gunas gives us perspective. Knowing this, the Puranas also have or reflect that perspective. They reflect the perspective of Sattvic. What is the primary Purana in the Sattvic state that's considered a Sattvic Purana? Which is the primary one?
Bhagavad Purana.
Bhagavad Purana, yes. And then there are other Sattvic Puranas and the Rajasic Puranas and Tamasic Puranas, etc. And they dealing with, you see, the whole Vedic paradigm is to evolve. That's why there is discipline in the Vedic paradigm, there is Dharma in the Vedic paradigm. It is meant to take the living entity from whatever level it is on and to have it evolve eventually, to come to the conclusion of what is the purpose of human form of life. The purpose of human form of life ultimately is to be a lover of God. Is ultimately, especially from the perspective of the Gaudiyas, is Krishna Prema, is to have pure love for the Supreme Personality of Godhead. But there are different gradations, many different gradations of consciousness and perspective, which is the result of those various gradations of consciousness. And in order to attract different levels of consciousness, there are different perspectives that are presented, which are meant to help us to evolve, to elevate consciousness. Even Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita, right, that you worship the demigods so that you become familiar with the regulation, discipline, and the various components of that are involved in terms of worship, any kind of worship. Ultimately, that is to help us evolve to the point of selflessness and pure worship of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And even that fact, to accept that there is Supreme Personality of Godhead. I tell this story quite often because I think it's really hits the mark. Srila Prabhupada was in Philadelphia, and Ravindra Sarup, who is a disciple of Srila Prabhupada, and he's also a PhD in religion, he would oftentimes, when Prabhupada would come, and this would happen wherever Prabhupada went, whether he was in Paris, there in France, he met with a cardinal, a very, very famous Cardinal Danilou. It's a very famous discussion about Christianity. And so in Philadelphia, Ravindra made this appointment with a professor of Hinduism. And he was Indian born. So he was brought into the room, introduced to Srila Prabhupada, and so Ravindra said, Srila Prabhupada, this gentleman, I forget his name right now, he said, this gentleman is a professor of Hinduism at Temple University. And Prabhupada picks up everything. So he picked up, oh, you're a professor of Hinduism. He said, yes, Swami, yes I am. He said, okay, can you tell me what Hinduism is? So the man kind of chuckled and he said, I don't really know what Hinduism is. And Prabhupada says, just see, you are a professor of Hinduism and you don't know what Hinduism is. But that has been the problem, right? Growing up, Hinduism is everything. Right? Hinduism is Shiva, Hinduism is Brahma, Hinduism, there are so many things in Hinduism that everything is accepted, right? Everything is tolerated. Sometimes people say that Hinduism is the most tolerant religion. And you could also say it's the most confused religion. That's why it's tolerant. Whereas you speak to anyone who is a Christian. I had this unfortunate or fortunate, we were invited to a Christian seminar on medical health. It was called Faith-Based Healing. We were invited. Unbeknownst to us, it was the doctor who was giving the seminar was a born-again Christian. And his real intent was to either convert or to emphasize you can only be spiritual if you accept Christ. So I really didn't know that because my wife met the man and he invited her and she invited me, which was the wrong thing to do. So just too many lessons of watching Prabhupada sit in either with a Mayavadi or, and then Prabhupada reaching a point and then not tolerating it. So I was sitting there and he was going on about Christianity and he was saying so many good things. God is omniscient, God is omnipotent. When you're touched by the Spirit of God and all these qualities, the fruits of the Spirit manifest in your heart like peace and happiness and love and compassion. So I was sitting there kind of saying, wow, this is not too bad. And I was waiting. So I had a question. And as soon as I raised my hand, my wife went. And I said, so I raised my hand and I said, I have a question. And he said, oh, okay, thank you. You're a new person here, thank you. So I said, yes. I said, you made mention of the fact that when you're touched by the Spirit of God, that all these qualities manifest in your heart. And he says, yes, that's what I said. I said, how would you as a Christian address the fact that I've traveled the world and I've met many religious people? And I said, one in particular, I didn't mention Prabhupada, but I said one in particular who I witnessed. I was an eyewitness to his life, which was totally dedicated to God. From the time he got up to the time he went to bed, everything was dedicated to God. And he manifested all of these qualities. I said, how, as a Christian, would you answer that? So, it was like the look on his face, how am I going to answer this question? So he said to me, there are good people in this world. He said, they're not necessarily Christian, but they could be good people. He said, but that's not coming from being touched by God. Those qualities. I said, no. I said, I said, this is not somebody I heard about. This is somebody I witnessed. I witnessed him glorifying God all day and all night. in everything that he did. So I said, it's not just somebody I heard about who's a saintly person. And he repeated that. And he said, no, there can be good people in the world, but that doesn't mean they were touched by God. And then he went on to explain to me that what he meant being touched by God was that you accepted Jesus. So that's why Hinduism, to get back to the point, not to criticize, but to get back to the point, that Hinduism sometimes is considered the most tolerant religion in the world because everything is accepted, everybody and everything. But Prabhupada was very, and I can say this to you honestly, he was very heavy about misconceptions and entertaining misconceptions that it's okay. He was very, very heavy in that regard. And whenever a misconception was raised, whether it be from your family or from your family guru or whatever, Prabhupada would not accept that, but he would give us the real Siddhanta. So also, when we talk about Krishna in relationship to Lord Shiva, in relationship to Lord Brahma, etc., Prabhupada was very specific and he was very heavy. One thing he would quote quite often, Brahma Samhita. Chiram yata dadhibikara vishesha yoga sanjayate nahitatak pratak ashti hetoho ya sambutam apitata samupaita karya govindamadi purusham tamaham bhajami diparchireva hridashantaramabhyupetya Dipayate vibrita hetu samana dharma Yastadrigeva hisha vishnutaya vibhakti Govindamadi purusham tamaham bhajami. Just as milk is transformed into curd by the action of acids, but yet the effect curd is neither same as nor different from its cause. In other words, milk. So I adore the primeval Lord Govinda, of whom the state of Shambhu is a transformation for the performance of the work of destruction. So the understanding, Lord Shiva has his position here in this material world. He also has his eternal position as Sadashiva. So who can tell me who is Sadashiva? Have you heard of Sadashiva before? Who can tell me what is your understanding of Sadashiva?
Vishnu Tattva.
Vishnu Tattva? Okay.
He's
Yeah.
also eternal.
I'm sorry?
He's also eternal.
Eternal? Anybody
And
else?
he's like the curd. Vishnu is milk and Shiva is like a curd.
Yeah, there's
but the same.
what happens when milk becomes curd? You've all made paneer, right? What happens? What do you use an acidic medium to transform milk into curd, right? Curd comes from milk, right? That's its origin. But curd isn't necessarily milk. It's something different. It's the same, and yet it's different, right? So that's what is being stated here in the Brahma Samhita, that this Shambhu is the Supreme Lord, who is manifested, if we were to try to make it simple, manifested in such a way that his presence can come in contact with the material energy, right? Krishna never comes in contact with the material energy. He is totally, always, forever, eternally transcendental, in a transcendental position. But when the living entities have to be injected into the womb of the material energy, then how is that done? How is Krishna to remain detached? right? How is he to remain free from connection to the material energy? When we begin to study this philosophy of Krishna consciousness, and we see how the six Goswamis, by the order of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, studied the Siddhanta of the Vedic literatures and what they gave us in terms of understanding to have clarity in relationship to all of these topics. It's just absolutely amazing. So this halo, Shambhu, which extends from Mahavishnu, enters into the womb of the material energy and injects the living entities in that way. So that is considered the Lord, but not the Lord, right? Just the whole Achinta Bheda Bheda Tattva. Simultaneously, one yet different. Simultaneously, the Lord, but yet due to transformation and purpose or function. Everything in this world has function. So the Supreme Lord, when He comes in many different incarnations, different avatars. There's 6 categories of avatars that Krishna comes in order to have the functioning of the material world. Purusha avatar. What's the function of Purusha avatar? One word. Creation. Leela avatar. What's the function of Leela avatar? Huh? Pastimes. And what do these pastimes do?
Attract.
They attract. They attract. When Krishna performs his pastimes, Ram performs his pastimes, they attract the minds of the living entities. So Leela avatar, Purusha avatar, Shaktivesh avatar. What is Shaktivesh avatar?
Empowered.
Empowered. Empowered living being. A living entity can be empowered with the potency of the Supreme. And have, as if, for instance, Nisringa Brahmachari. When Nisringa Brahmachari would go out and preach, it was said that it was as if Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was there. The potency of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was fully invested in Nisringa Brahmachari. So when you have the living entity that can become empowered by the mercy of the Lord to deliver the message of the Lord, then this is called Shaktivesh. What else? Yuga avatar, right? The different yugas all have different manifestations of the Supreme. So we have Leela avatar, Shaktivesh avatar, Purush avatar, Gun avatar. Here you go. And what is the Gun avatars? Bringing in Lord Shiva here. Huh?
The most.
Yes. Each mode of material nature has a predominant deity. And that is Vishnu for what?
God of goodness.
Goodness and? No, I mean, goodness means what? Maintenance. Then, Brahma? Creation, right? You need passion for creation. In order to maintain, goodness is there. And then, for destructive purposes, you have Lord Shiva. You have Shiva. So functionality. So these various incarnations and manifestations and various different manifestations, and you can read in teachings of Lord Chaitanya, if you really want to get technical about it, all the different manifestations that are there. You can read about it in teachings of Lord Chaitanya. There's a brilliant expose on all the various incarnations. So we mentioned Leela avatar, Guna avatar, Shaktivesh avatar, Purush avatar, Yuga avatar,
Manvantara.
and Manvantara. That's right. So that every Manu assumes that position in relationship to the Lord. So functionality is how the Supreme Lord determines his various manifestations in this material world. But Krishna is the Supreme. From Krishna comes all of these various. He is, while all of them are called avatars, Krishna is called what?
Avatari.
Avatari. And what does avatari mean? The source of all incarnation. So Lord Shiva also. So we see in that function of transmission of living entities into the womb of the material energy, then that particular manifestation of Sadashiva, that is the function of the Supreme. That's why you have transformation. That the Lord can do it, but has to transform in such a way so that it's different from Mahavishnu and all the Vishnu Tattva in that way. Is that understood?
I think there was also for the pradhan,
Uh-huh.
the glance.
The glance, yes. Any other question or comment on that? Yes,
I just have a quick question for clarification.
Sure, sure.
So you were talking about how Sadashiva is the one who, I guess, what is it, imparts like the living entities.
Mm.
So what is the difference in the function of Sadashiva versus Garbhodakshaya Vishnu?
Garbhodakshaya Vishnu.
Yeah.
Garbhodakshaya Vishnu is the Lord, the overlord of the universe, right? And from him manifests Lord Brahma from his navel. So there is a difference in that particular manifestation is the overlord of the universe. Mahavishnu, from him, all universes are emanating from his pores and from his breath. And Kiradakshaya Vishnu, he permeates everything, all atoms and all living entities. So that's the Purusha avatars and their function, as different from Sadashiva. Any other question or comment?
Prabhuji.
Yes, sir.
So what I have heard is that glance is called Shambhu.
Mm-hmm.
The glance of Mahavishnu is Shambhu, which is then touching Pradhan or Mahat Tattva, injecting.
Mm-hmm.
And then Sadashiva is in the Vaikuntha Loka.
Mm-hmm.
So you have Mahakal Loka, which is where the people who believe in Brahma Jyoti, they go, the place of darkness. But Sadashiv Loka is just above that. And that's Sadashiv where it's a Vaikuntha Loka. When you go, you will not return back.
Right.
So that's the place of Sadashiv. But then Shiva has so many forms. Shambhu is one of them.
Right.
And you have 11 Rudras. It's complicated, it's enigmatic. I don't know the
That's
details.
why I didn't want to get into the complication. Though we keep it a little simple, make a distinction between the transcendental nature of Shambhu and then, Lord Shiva as he manifests in the various leelas here. Yeah, because that would require the Brahma Samhita and so many, the Bhagavatamrita and so many other shastra to get a clear understanding of that. So, but thank you for that.
And he said also that is Guru Tattva and Shiva Tattva is the most complicated thing to understand.
Yeah,
If you go into that, you get lost.
yes,
Sometimes better to keep it simple for simple people.
right.
Prabhu, I have one question on these 6 types of avatars. What are the examples? Like I know Ram avatar and Krishna avatar for Yuga avatar, but what are the examples of other types of avatars?
Well, the Purusha avatars we just mentioned.
Yeah.
Karanadakshaya Vishnu, who manifests the universes. And then Garbhodakshaya Vishnu is the overlord of the universe, and Lord Brahma comes from his navel. And then you have Kiradakshaya Vishnu, who sits on the ocean of milk, and he is the via media for incarnations into this world. So that's example of a Purusha avatar. Shaktivesh avatar,
Vyasadeva.
Vyasadeva is one.
Narad Muni.
Narad Muni. Any other?
Parshuram.
Even if you get Jesus Christ is a
I was just gonna, you read my mind. I was just gonna mention that Prabhupada mentioned Jesus Christ also as Shaktivesh avatar. So that Leela avatar, you have Das avatars, Matsya, Kurma, like that, the Das avatars. Manvantaras, all the Manus, Swayambhuva Manu is one example. What else did we say? Gun avatars we mentioned, right?
Brahma Vishnu Mahesh.
Brahma Vishnu, Shiva.
Yoga avatars, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu.
Yuga avatar, yeah. He's called Chana avatar, because he doesn't come as an avatar. He comes as a devotee. The Chaitanya Mahaprabhu sometimes is not even considered or listed as the avatar of Kali Yuga. The holy name.
It's made on purpose.
Huh?
It's done on purpose.
Yeah. So I want to move to stories of Lord
Prabhu, I have
Shiva.
one question.
Go ahead.
So, Sadashiv lives in Vaikuntha Lok, right? But who lives in Kailash?
There are so many like Shivas. It's not just one Shiva. There are many
Yeah,
Shivas.
11
That's why I
Rudras.
want to know who is
You
it
have to-
Rudra form or Shiva form or Sadashiva
No,
form?
Shiv.
Shiva.
Let me read you something from the Sri Bhagavatamrita. In different kalpas, sometimes very elevated jivas, or sometimes Lord Vishnu himself take up the position of Lord Shiva. But the one known as Sadashiva is beyond the reach of the modes of material nature or gunas. He is the Vilas expansion of the Supreme Lord Vishnu. Sadashiva is also the fountainhead of Lord Shiva, one of the guna avatars. Therefore, Sadashiva is superior to Lord Brahma, equal to Lord Vishnu, and superior to and separate from the jivas who are conditioned by the three gunas. So that kind of gives you some insight into the complexity of the subject.
But still
Just-
it didn't answer
yes,
who
Prabhu.
lives in Kailash.
Good. Cool.
Can you explain a little bit about the Shiva Linga?
Shiva Linga. Someone else can explain.
Yes.
It's a creation.
Simple.
Like,
The glance of Lord
Glance of-
Vishnu,
Ah.
when he glances in the world, is the top part of the Shiva Linga, and the bottom part is a female part of the, you can call it Parvati.
Parvati.
This is where, when the jiva is injected in this material world, and this is a Shiva Linga. And in the material world, Lord Shiva and Parvati is represented together in a Shiva Linga. And this is what is called, there is a yoni, and there's two words they use, yoni and something else. I
Linga.
forgot.
Linga.
Yeah, this is the like a murti, a representative form of Lord Shiva in the material world. Both together.
Yes.
They also say on this particular day of Mahashivratri, the form of Shiva Linga was produced. So this say Mahashivratri, they say Shiva and Parvati got married. That's one story in the Puranas. The other is this form of Shiva Linga was shown. It's also called the impersonal form.
Actually, it's a genital part of both. To be put it like bluntly, it represents the genital part of both Lord Shiva and Parvati for the purpose of populating this world. This is when all the jiva that is at the day of Lord Brahma, when it's finished, all the jiva that is not liberated, they go back into the belly of Mahavishnu. And when there's creation again, how would they come? They come in that way.
Yeah, and also to worship Lord Shiva through the lingam form is very powerful and very merciful. There's one story about a hunter, and the hunter, that's how the hunter made his living, is by hunting animals. This particular day, he was hunting and he didn't get very much. He got one deer. That was the only thing. He thought to himself, I cannot, I can't, this is not enough. But as the day wore on, night came, and still all he had was one deer. So then it started storming, rain and thunder and so he climbs up the tree with the deer, and the whole night is raining and storming. It happens to be a bilva tree. So he's very, in anxiety. He's taking the leaves from the bilva tree, which is very pleasing to Lord Shiva, and he's picking the leaves, because he's nervous. It's thundering and lightning, and he's up in the tree, and he hasn't had any food. All night he's fasting. All night he stays up. He's putting the leaves down like that, and the fast. So at the end of the day, at the end of the evening, after the rain and everything comes down, at the bottom of the tree was a Shiva Lingam. And because he fasted, and because he offered the bilva leaves, then he received the mercy of Lord Shiva, and in his next life he became a very great Rajarshi. I can't remember the name, Chandra or something. But that shows the potency of worshipping the lingam, Lord Shiva. Yes, Anirudh.
This is a quick question. So in Rameshwaram, there's like a famous Shiva temple, and it said that Lord Ramachandra worships the lingam before crossing the ocean to Sri Lanka. So I'm wondering, like, Lord Ramachandra is the Supreme Personality of Godhead.
Yeah.
He himself already has so much power. Why does he worship the Shiva Linga before crossing the ocean?
Yeah, Prabhupada was asked that question, and to the worship of a Vaishnava is, as good as or even better than the worship of Lord Vishnu. So Lord Ram is worshiping his great devotee, Lord Shiva, Vaishnavanam Yata Shambhu. So in this way, he's demonstrating that very simple point, that the worship of the Vaishnava is, very important to us in terms of our evolution, in terms of our advancement in Krishna consciousness. That's always a question that they say, well, Shiva is greater than Ram, because Ram worshipped Shiva. But, look at Krishna when Sudam Vipra comes to visit him. Who was Sudam Vipra? He was a simple, poor Brahmin. He had the great fortune of going to the same Gurukul as Krishna, so they were very good friends. And Gurukul, when he made that trek on the pushing of his wife, he made the trek to see Lord Krishna and to ask him for some kind of benediction. When he was allowed entrance into Krishna's palace, the guards were thinking, who is this? He was ragtag, he was thin, and his clothes were torn, and no one could imagine, who is this person? As soon as he came in, what did Lord Krishna do? Yeah, as soon as he came in, he sits him down, he bathes his feet, fans him, Rukmini is fanning him. So that, for the Lord is purchased by the love of his devotee. Nothing else can say, he has everything, but he can be purchased by the love of his devotee. So Krishna, we see that example. Ram, we see that example.
Can I add something on what he said?
Yes, please. This is now a discussion, so.
Ram, the avatar that he came as a human being, as a perfect human being, okay? He's not an avatar for others, and he was not supposed to display any quality of God, because the only person that can kill Ravan is a human being, it's not God, because this is a Bhinnekshani God. Therefore, he has to play the role of a normal human being, of course. He knows, Lord Shiva knows who he is, and there's always a competition between, Krishna and his devotee. Who can worship them better? Like Narad Muni and Krishna. Prabhupada just give an example. And there's always this interaction between Lord Shiva and Krishna or Ram. But Krishna or Ram has to display the human being like. I mean, he has to pray even to cross the ocean. He prayed to the sea god.
Yes. What I've heard is there are 5 reasons our acharyas have given. I don't remember all of them. These are 2. So I'll send you the others.
Is it also to set an example for us that we respect everyone.
Say it again?
Is it also to set an example for us?
Yes. Yeah, Ram's whole life was meant to serve as an example. You know, what it would be as a grihasta, you know, to do your dharma, etc. So his whole life was set as an example for us.
And also it is mentioned like Krishna has 64 qualities, right? And Lord Shiva has 61 something?
60.
60
Krishna has unlimited, but 60
Yeah.
for the primary.
primary, yeah. And Shiva has 60. And I think it's greater than Brahma or
I
Brahma?
think Vishnu
No,
has
Vishnu has
60.
60,
60 is
56,
Vishnu.
56 is Shiva.
56, one more than the living entities.
I think Ram has 62.
Anybody have their favorite story of Lord Shiva? I just read something very interesting about, I think it was from Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur. Why is Lord Shiva's neck blue? Why is he called Nilakanta? Now I'm talking about from the Vaishnava perspective, okay? So you may not be able to corroborate this with other things you've read, but from Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur's perspective, why is Lord Shiva's neck blue?
He held the poison in his throat when he threw in the ocean.
Uh-huh.
The demigods and
The
the
poisoning. That's the commonly understood.
He's always chanting the road names.
Yes. Yeah, that's Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur's reason why Lord Shiva's neck turned blue, because he's always chanting the Lord's name, Krishna's name. Holding it, when you chant, your neck, your vibrate. So then, due to the presence of the holy name, his neck turned blue. I thought that was interesting
Yeah, this
perspective.
There's another pastime like this. He said whenever his devotees come, because he is enjoying his chanting, and then we say he's very merciful, but in reality he's not that merciful. He wants to get rid of them. He tells them, oh, you're praying for that, take it and go. Because me, I'm relishing the chanting of the holy name. And okay, you want this, take and go. Don't disturb.
There is one more example of from Gujarat, Narsimha
I was gonna
Mehta. He was a very dear devotee of Lord Shiva. But after asking, like Lord Shiva, he benedicted him the love for Krishna. So he became devotee of Krishna.
Wonderful.
I think an important one is with Ganga. He contained Ganga when the Lord's toe-nail had penetrated the universe, and yes, so she was so powerful that she would have gone all the way down to Patal. But what happened was he contained it in his locks.
Yes.
So here we have Ganga.
And who was invited? Who needed Ganga?
Bhagirath.
Bhagirath, right? So Ganges water would go over his ancestors.
That's why one of Shiva's name is Gangadhar.
Yeah.
And Gopishvara.
And
Another one.
I also heard another Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur revelation or perspective. Why does Lord Shiva have the crescent moon in his hair? Lalita?
This is a common story that the moon was cursed. So then just because then they divided the moon into two. Half of gets a curse and the other half is. This is a common story that I heard, but I don't know what is his comment.
Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur said because Lord Shiva is always paying his obeisances to Radharani, and one of the symbols on Radharani's lotus feet is the crescent moon. So because he's always that symbol from Radharani's lotus feet came to his head.
And then there are two others that is very famous. Is Mataji said about Gopishwar Mahadev. Maybe you can tell me what.
The Gopishwar? You said.
Yeah, actually, as we know, Krishna has his own rasa dance,
Right.
but Lord Shiva, he, as a great devotee also, he wants to get into this, want to understand what is it all about. And then one day he decided, okay, I'm summarizing, okay? One day he decided I will go there. But Lord Shiva, he's a man. He's a man, and in order to get into the rasa dance or to witness the rasa dance, you have to be a female because the only Purusha is Krishna, and everybody is Prakriti is female. I mean, in the rasa dance, it demonstrates that Krishna is the only Purusha, and all the others are gopis. But in order for Lord Shiva to even witness that, he wanted to go there, and he asked who is in charge of Purnamasi, and he asked Purnamasi whether he can get into there. And they said no. This is only for gopis. And then, but she said that, but I want. What should I do? They said that the only way you can get into that is to become a female. Of course, he accepted because he knows. Because he knows this is just a first time for us to understand also the position of Lord Shiva. He is also a gopi, but not a gopi that dance with Krishna, but a gopi that take care of the dam, like guarding the dam. And if you see in old dam, there are 4 Lord Shiva, even in Jagannath Puri, even in Mayapur, even in of course Vrindavan, and also in the dam we are going, Char Dham, something like that. Even there, everywhere
Badrinath.
there is Lord Shiva as a protector of the dam.
Yeah.
This is very important for us to understand that Lord Shiva, he is also a gopi, but like a bodyguard. He ensures that only people that are qualified go into the dam. This is her role. This is difficult to understand, as Prabhu said. Lord Shiva's personality is multifaceted, very difficult to understand.
Also in the Holy Dham, he's gatekeeper of Mathura,
Yeah.
Govardhan, Vrindavan, and Kamalavan. There's 4.
I don't know.
Huh?
Kamyavan.
So he serves as the guard to check anyone who is not qualified. And in order to become a gopi, he was bathed, right?
Yeah.
He was dunked into the holy.
Even Narad Muni
Yeah.
also had to do that to be able to witness.
And also he's very renounced. No?
Very, very, yes,
Yeah.
very renounced.
Then there
One time,
She has a question.
okay.
I'm just curious, from the story, there was, I don't know, maybe it was just the version I heard or something, but it was that like everybody could very clearly tell it was Shiva because
Yes.
it was very hard to hide,
Yes.
even if he was in full gopi form.
Yeah, she has the snake was
Yeah.
still there, some ashes were still there.
Couldn't give up her dress code.
Yeah, because
She did a good job then.
she's covered with ashes because Lord Shiva, he's so merciful that everybody who is being rejected, like nobody, for example, you won't go to the cremation yard. If, for example, somebody die, we don't go in the house of somebody who is like just passed away. But Lord Shiva, he is very merciful to everybody, even to the ghost, the goblin, and all that. And he accepts them and he gives them protection until the time they get liberated.
He's so detached that he lived under a tree. So finally Parvati petitioned him, can you please, we're grihastas, can you give me a house? So, in a word, Shiva was able to manifest an aerial mansion, a beautiful palatial, and then he invited, in order to have the open house, so to speak, he invites all the Brahmins and they're feeding prasad, giving long line. Everyone is asking benedictions, from Lord Shiva's giving generously, etc. in their new house. The last Brahmin in line, he's seeing Lord Shiva is so kind, so merciful. He's giving all these blessings, all these benedictions. So the the last Brahmin in line said, so you are giving blessing, you're giving benediction now? And Lord Shiva said, yes, what is it that you want? He said, this is new house? And Lord Shiva says, yes, it is my new house. He said, oh, very beautiful. And Lord Shiva said, yes, it is very beautiful. He said, I would like this house. And Lord Shiva said, yes, take the house. And then he walked back to the tree. Parvati's way. So that's how detached Lord Shiva is, you know.
Prabhu, I think you had a question or you were raising your hand? Yeah.
I heard the other explanation about why Lord Shiva's throat is blue.
Yeah.
Because Mother Parvati, when he was drinking poison, Mother Parvati stopped that from.
Grabbed him by the neck, so it wouldn't go down. Yes. Yes. Gopal Brindapal, go ahead.
Yeah, you soft spoken.
Yeah.
You need a mic.
So Lord Shiva's one name is also Ashutosh. Ashutosh means who gets very easily pleased actually. There is one story I heard that once one thief, he went to temple and his plan was to steal something there. So he went to Lord Shiva's temple and he didn't see anything there, but he saw, okay, just above Shivlinga there is one bell. Usually bells are there. So he wanted to take out that bell and so that he can get some money. So then, but he was not able to reach to that bell. So finally he thought, okay, I can just climb on this Shivlinga and I can get that. So he just climbed on that and he was trying to get it. And then
Golden bell, right?
yes, I think they say it's not gold really, but usually
Yeah, the way I heard it.
Copper actually.
I heard it was a gold bell.
Okay, maybe. So finally he climbed on that, and but Lord Shiva, he was very pleased. He was not thinking, okay, he's trying to like steal or something. He was pleased and he was there. He said, usually people offer me some water or some wheat bell, but you offered yourself completely to me. So tell me what you want. He was pleased. So that kind of. But usually, so they say Shiva is very easily pleased, but people go there to ask material benefit. But the real wealth, I mean, or whatever Lord Shiva can give is like a Krishna Bhakti. So we should ask him, and whenever we go. Even Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he went to different Lord Shiva's temple. When he went to South India, even in Trimbakeshwar, I heard there is temple. So he went there, and Chaitanya Mahaprabhu danced before the deity. So he gave all the respect to Lord Shiva. So we should also, like in that way, we should go, and because he is the greatest Vaishnava, we can ask him for Krishna Bhakti.
Yeah, I'm trying to remember a story. I just heard a story of Prabhupada telling the devotees, you know, how to respect Lord Shiva. I can't remember it right now.
And then there's another one. There was a, of course, there's a devotee that
Oh, I remember the story.
that was praying to Lord Shiva. He did a lot of tapasya, and then every day he offered something, and then but he wanted to see Lord Shiva face to face, and then he started to cut his own limb because after so many days, Lord Shiva was not appearing, and last day he said, Lord Shiva, if you don't appear, I'm cutting my head and putting in the fire. And then Lord Shiva immediately appeared in front of him and said, what do you want? He said, I really want a benediction. Whoever I touch, I will burn them. Lord Shiva said, okay, so be it. Take it. And then he said, but I want to try it. Can I try it on you? And then he started running after Lord Shiva. Of course, Lord Shiva is faster. And then at one point in time, Lord Shiva was praying. And then Krishna come and then told this, you know, I don't know if he's a demon now because he has been converted. He's not a devotee anymore because he wants to kill Lord Shiva. He has been instantly converted into a demon. And then Krishna told him, but you know, whatever Lord Shiva has given to you is not true, it's not good.
You believe Shiva?
Yeah, you think that what he has given you is good? Why don't you try it? Try and see if it works. The poor idiot, he tried and burned himself. That's it.
I remember Prabhupada told the story of Nanda Maharaj. They went on pilgrimage to a place in Gujarat. Lord Shiva.
Shivaratri, yes.
Huh?
On the Shivaratri day, yes.
Yeah. And they went there and Prabhupada said, why did they go there? So they begged Lord Shiva to protect their son Krishna. So he said, and this is the way we approach Lord Shiva, so that we can, have Krishna's protection, Krishna is protected. The mindset of a Vaishnava or a devotee is everything is for Krishna. So even we approach Lord Shiva for any benediction, it's a benediction to help us to become closer and more dedicated in our service to the Supreme Lord.
I know many devotees of Lord Shiva who are very sincere, not businessmen. They are very sincere devotees. At one point in time, they either converted to becoming Vishnu or Krishna devotees. And even their priests or whoever advise them, if this is your hankering, this is your path. Because even to Parvati, Lord Shiva, there is a conversation like Bhagavad Gita between Parvati, question and answers, where Lord Shiva explained to Parvati the position of Vishnu and Krishna.
In Bhagavatam there is a story, right? Like fight between Krishna and Lord Shiva.
Narayan Jwara and Shiva Jwara.
Yeah, that's amazing.
There are several stories which are quoted as proof of Lord Krishna being greater than there's this story, is it Brigu?
Yeah.
Right? Brigu going to Shiva, Brahma and
Vishnu.
What their reaction.
It's amazing how they describe the fight.
Shiva Jwara and Narayan Jwara story also. The most powerful weapon of Lord Shiva versus the most powerful weapon of Lord Narayan. And one was extreme heat, Lord Shiva, and the other one was extreme cold.
It was amazing how they described the fight. Like Kartikeya was there.
Yeah. And one thing that I remember is that someone said that Lord Shiva is always being approached for material benedictions, and he's not really looking to give out, but he's being approached. This was around Prabhupada was still on the planet, so it was around 1976, I believe, in New York City, and there was a famous Swami, I think he was Indira Gandhi's kind of guru, Chandra Swami?
Yep.
Do you remember? Yeah, Chandra Swami. So he liked the devotees. So I was a brahmachari at the time, and I was with the GBC of I was temple president in New York Temple, and the GBC was Adi Keshava, who was a Swami at the time. So somehow or another he met Adi Keshava, and Adi Keshava was he took sannyas, he was 24 years old. So he was very boy-like looking, he looked like a young boy. And I was there. So the two of us went up to this fancy apartment in New York City, some supporter of Chandra Swami there. And while we're there, we were sitting having some small talk, some discussion. So the lady who owned that apartment, she said, "There are some people here to see you." So he said, Chandra Swami says, stay, don't go. I want you guys to stay. So we just stayed, and we were just sitting there, and a couple came in. They were a wealthy Indian couple, and they immediately paid their obeisances, and then they began to speak in Hindi. Of course, we didn't understand Hindi, so we didn't know what they were talking about. I mean, he's doing that, shaking his head, and yes, and all that. And then finally, after maybe 10 minutes of conversation, they get up and leave. And he looks at us, he said, yes, they want blessings for this and for that, etc. He said, but I told them you are asking the wrong people for blessings. He said, you see these two young men sitting here, you should ask them for blessings for your spiritual life. So, he got it, he understood that people approaching for material benediction, that the real benediction was coming from Prabhupada and encouraging everyone to chant the holy names of the Lord. So that discussion reminded me of that particular event that was there in my life. Any other stories? Yes.
So just not a story, just we hear, it's in the contemporary time, Premananda Maharaj from Vrindavan, he's so famous for Radharani's bhajans and he's a devotee of Radharani. He was a Shaivite in Banaras, then he was blessed by Shiva, go to Vrindavan, he became Radharani's devotee. So Shiva's blessings is to become a Krishna Bhakta, Radharani's Bhakta.
Yes. That's why Vaishnavanam Yata Shambhu is the greatest. All right, who can answer the question? If we accept that verse, how is Lord Shiva the greatest Vaishnava? How is that possible? You have Radharani, and you have Shiva. So when we quote that verse, Vaishnavanam Yata Shambhu, Lord Shiva is the greatest Vaishnava. What does that mean?
Radharani and Krishna are the same. One soul, two bodies.
No. Radharani's, yes, Prabhu. Go ahead.
Vaishnava is most merciful to the fallen souls. So when he came as Advaitacharya, he prayed for Krishna Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to come down for the fallen souls.
That was his extreme display of compassion. Because Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said, because you're calling me, I must come. But also Radharani, Lord Shiva is here in this material world. Radharani is eternally with Krishna in Goloka Vrindavan. So there, she's penultimate of devotion. Here, Lord Shiva and his manifestation of compassion as an incarnation as Advaitacharya and in other instances. So Vaishnavanam Yata Shambhu.
And also he is so merciful because he tried to give his association to ghosts and most fallen.
Yes.
Who else can do that?
Bhutanath, right? Bhutanath.
So he's always in meditation, like Krishna, like chanting Ram's name. So that way we can see.
Prabhupada said, who is Shiva meditating on? He's always in meditation, but who is he meditating on? Prabhupada said that. Sankarshan.
Yeah.
He's always meditating on the lotus feet of Sankarshan.
It's there in Bhagavatam also.
Yeah, in the Bhagavatam. There's a picture actually.
Yeah.
Actually, he says that Krishna is there. Krishna has nothing to do with this world. And from Krishna manifests Balaram. And from Balaram the four Chaturvyuha. Then from one of them, Sankarshan, then from Sankarshan the three Vishnu appear, and from there Shiva Sadashiva. If somebody really understands where Krishna is, where this material world is, big difference. I mean, Krishna is aloof, completely aloof from this.
And it also reminds me of Shiva was always in deep meditation. And the demigods were in so much anxiety because they wanted him to produce a son. But he was so deep in meditation, so they send Kamadev to shoot him with the flower arrows, so the desire would come. So Kamadev goes, and Shiva's sitting in deep meditation, so deep, and Kamadev shoots the flower arrow, and Shiva's disturbed. His third eye opens up, and immediately Kamadev is into ash. Now his wife Rati, She was so distressed. Oh my God, look at my husband. Look, he's a pile of ash. So Shiva said he will be in spirit form, subtle form, but he won't get a body until later. And later, he manifests in Krishna Lila as Pradyumna. Kamadev comes as Krishna's son to Rukmini, I believe, Pradyumna. So I like that story also. Because, the whole vision of Shiva in meditation, so deeply in meditation, is, such a powerful vision. Yes?
Also, one thing that amazed me, like all over India, people go to Kashi and they leave the body there. But many of us don't know what's the reason. But one of the things that they believe is if we leave our body there, we achieve liberation. So it is said like because Lord Shiva chants Lord Ram there, the sound vibration always is there. That's why it's easy when you leave our body, we can achieve liberation.
Because that sound vibration.
Because of the sound vibration, because Lord
Shiva
Shiva always
constant.
chants Lord Ram.
It's the city of Shiva.
Yes.
Kashi is.
Yes, Anirudh.
I have a quick question. I mean, this is kind of like in modern day times, like where I'm trying to figure out like where this concept of Lord Shiva and ganja came to be. Like why is he associated with smoking ganja, or like some followers of him are like because he does it, I can do it as well. So where did this even come
Prabhupada
from?
said, yes, you want to smoke ganja, but first swallow the poison. That was when Prabhupada was asked that question, if I follow Lord Shiva, can I smoke ganja? He said, yes, you can, but first swallow the poison.
Or individual drop.
Huh?
You don't have to swallow a whole ocean of them, just little drop.
Actually, I heard Prabhu said one lecture, Shivram Prabhu from ISKCON Chowpatty Temple. I was hearing that class. So in that class, Prabhuji said, actually people are just making it. Actually, Lord Shiva, Lord Parvati, they don't know what is ganja. People just actually they are making it. Otherwise, there is nothing like that.
It is their ghosts and the goblins who eat all this stuff, drink all this stuff. It's not like Shiva is eating or drinking this stuff. So it's their followers, because Shiva is so merciful.
Right.
So, and they're trying to copy the followers and not copy Shiva.
That reminds me of Prabhupada when he first came to the United States. He had all the ghosts and goblins and witches and doing all kinds, smoking ganja and doing all kinds of abominable activities. But by his association, everybody gave it up. So that is the effect that someone who has that kind of potency, that they change hearts. Because the desire, where the heart is in the heart, all desires are there. The seed of desire is in the heart. So when we come in contact with a pure devotee of that magnitude, of that potency, then the heart is cleansed. Or the seeds of illicit desire are rendered not effective. Prabhupada uses that example in the Nectar of Devotion. If you take seeds and you put them in an oven, then the heat will remove the potency of the seed, it won't sprout. So anything else? Any other observation, realization,
As you said,
explanation?
As you said, it is really difficult to understand Lord Shiva because at one time he drinks a poison and he is also wearing the snake around his neck which has poison.
Right.
It's not easy to understand.
Well, he gave the
Yeah,
snake the
yeah,
poison.
the poison.
The drops of the poison went to snakes and spiders and all these poisonous entities. Yes?
I think I need to use the mic. I'm a little soft.
Okay.
So I never thought about this until being here now, listening to all of this. But I had a teacher tell me that when Lord Shiva was meditating and people wanted to learn from him, they would sit and wait because he was so deep in contemplation that they're like, okay, what is he doing? And the only thing that he would do is cry or dance. I think one of those two, that's it. And so they said, what is he doing in there? I want to know. And that's why they sat so long. So I'm wondering if he was crying because he's meditating on Krishna or so deep in meditating upon Leela maybe. And that's why he was crying.
Tears of ecstasy.
Because I've never thought about that. Why was he, I would think maybe just because he's in some eternally blissful state, but if he's meditating upon Krishna, and that's why he's crying?
And he's also called Nataraj, so he dances. Yeah. Something else?
You don't want to share anything? Sure.
If no one has anything, yes, come let me share.
About the Daksha stories, like
Oh yeah, Daksha and
like
Sati.
that, yeah, Sati, so his first wife, and Daksha doesn't like Shiva because he is all ashes and very matted hair, and he doesn't like his beautiful daughter marrying such a looking person that was very weird. So he didn't invite for the yagna, and Sati goes, even though she's not invited, she goes to see the yagna. But then
And Shiva warned her, don't go.
Don't go,
Don't go. Oh no, I must go, I want to see my sisters.
Yeah, and then she goes and Daksha insults Shiva so much that she could not tolerate it. She enters the fire, leaves her body, and says that I don't want a body that comes from you, who disgrace my husband, and she leaves the body. At that point, Shiva gets so angry. Until then, he tolerates, but then when he sees his wife passing away, he cuts his head, and then Lord Brahma comes and pleads to Lord Shiva to give his life back. Then he gives a goat head and
From the sacrifice,
and teaches Daksha a lesson.
Yeah, I love that story.
And
And
once
what happened to Sati?
Sati, she reincarnates as Parvati. Prabhu, I have one story. I've heard this in South India, especially in Kerala. There is Lord. They go. It's very famous.
Oh,
Ayyappa.
Ayyappa, yes.
Ayyappa Swami. They say, but I never heard in Puranas but they say he's born out of Lord Shiva and Vishnu.
It's the Hara. Mohini Murtis.
But there is no reference in the Shastras.
Yes. When Lord Vishnu went into the Mohini avatar, that time Shiva and Vishnu.
Right, that's what South Indians believe, but I don't have any reference in the Shastras.
Yeah, it's not in the Vaishnava.
No, right? No, because in Vaishnava literature I never seen that, but it's very famous. In South India it's super famous. Like there is a season where everybody put the head, they say Irumudi, they put that, and so much days they do Virat and they walk 41 days and they walk.
They call it Mandala. Mandala Puja.
And there's this famous song, Sharanam Ayyappa Swami.
But it's not in Srimad Bhagavatam, it could be in other Puranas.
Lord Shiva was very renowned, but his father-in-law was very rich, Prajapati, Daksha. His father-in-law was have so much opulence.
Anything else? Thank you so much for your attention. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. Glories to Srila Prabhupada.
His grace
All
Lord
glories to the Lord Shiva.
As part of the program, Arti, we can stand up.
Sorry.
Yes.
Oh, you went on.
नमो विष्णुपदाय कृष्णपृष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्त स्वामी इति नामिने नमो विष्णुपदाय कृष्णपृष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्त नमस्ते सरस्वती देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देशतारिणे नमस्ते सरस्वती देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैता गदाधर श्रीवासदि गौर भक्तवृंद जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैता गदाधर श्रीवासदि गौर भक्तवृंद Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Radhe Radhe Govinda, Bhajanam Radha Govinda Radhe, Radha Govinda Radhe, Govinda Radhe, Radha Govinda Radhe, Bhajanam Radha Govinda Radhe, Radha Govinda Radhe, Bhajanam Radha Govinda Radhe, Radha Govinda Radhe, Bhajanam Radhe Radhe, Radhe Govinda Radhe Radhe, Radhe Govinda Radhe Radhe, Radhe Govinda Radhe Radhe. Nittai Gaura Hari Dev, Hari Dev, Hari Dev, Nittai Gaura Hari Dev, Nittai Gaura Hari Dev, Hari Dev, Hari Dev, Nittai Gaura Hari Dev. Jaya Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Jaya Jaya Prabhupada, Prabhupada, Prabhupada. Jaya Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Jaya Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Jaya Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Jaya Gurudev, 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 Jaya Jaya Gurudev, Jaya Jaya Gurudev,
Down Vishwapad, Paramahansa, Parikacharya, Sthatasata, Sri Mat, His Divine Loving Grace, Sri Bhaktivedanta Swami, Srila Prabhupada Ki, Vishwapad, Paramahansa, Parikacharya, Sthatasata, Sri Mat, His Divine Grace, Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur Ki Jai, Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrind Ki Jai, Namacharya Thakur Haridas Ki Jai, Sri Sri Gaura Nitai Ki Jai, Sri Sri Radha Govinda Deva Ki Jai, Nitai Gaura Premanandi Hari. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. Jai Sri Guru Sri Gauranga Jai Srila Prabhupada. Namaste Narasimhaya. Namaste Narasimhaya. Dalita Hiranyakashipu Chando Benga Ika Ika Nagarika Jai Jaya Jagadika Jaya Jagadika Avtara Kamalhavare Krishna Ravina Hiranyakashipu Kano Benga Ekavika Nari Rupa Jai Jagadika Jaya Jagadika Jaya Jagadika Ekavika Nagaruka Jaya Jagadika Jaya Jagadika Jaya Jagadika Ekavika Nagari Rupa Jaya Jagadika Jaya Jagadika Jaya Jagadika Jaya Narasimha Dev Narasimha Dev Narasimha Dev Jaya Narasimha नरसिंह भगवान की जय, महाराज की जय।